Hey, welcome to News Rocky. This is your host, Kevin Skulchek, bringing it to you live from the Pie Hop Studio in downtown Norwich, Connecticut. Everyone makes fun of Norwich when I say it that way, but I don't care. I'm going to keep saying it. News Rocky today is the title of today's show is In Your Corner, Sosa versus Jefferson. We're going to be talking with a individual who is in healthcare, who has been serving during the COVID tragedies going on across the country, and she got into a little bit of hot water at her employer's hospital down in New Jersey. I want Tracy to share her story with us, Tracy Sosa, who's going to be talking about some of the things that happened during the COVID to her. The story here today is really about how corporate sort of administrations handle situations and not all the time handle them the same way. We look forward to having that conversation today with Tracy in the Ring on News Rocky, so stay tuned. And welcome back. And on the phone with us, as I said earlier in the intro, was Tracy Sosa. Sosa versus Jefferson Hospital, the healthcare facility in New Jersey. We'll be talking with Tracy today about the case she has pending with a lawsuit against the hospital for termination. Tracy is an ER nurse, artist, single mother, recently terminated from her job in Jefferson Health in New Jersey. Tracy is currently in a lawsuit for wrongful termination. We are going to be getting into Tracy's corner here. One of the things we realize right now during the COVID situation, during this craziness across the country, so many of the folks in healthcare, they're stressed. They are worked to the bone, and we call them frontline. And in this case, it looks like the hospital was not paying attention too closely to the hard work that's being done by the nurses at this facility. We're going to get Tracy's story. I'd like to bring her on now if we could. Welcome Tracy Sosa to the News Rocky Show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. Were you able to hear the intro?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So welcome to News Rocky. So as I said early in the show here, the intro, you are obviously in a court case with this healthcare facility, Jefferson Health. Now, I looked up Jefferson Health, and for the record, the News Rocky Show did reach out to the facility, or at least one of the VPs of operation. We did leave a message, and we got no word back or any comment on the pending case. Tracy, I want to kind of open up with you. I did intro you as a nurse, an artist, a single mother, and recently, the sad part, terminated. What else would you say about Tracy as we get into this talk today?
I guess that just sums it up. I've been a nurse for 10 years, and with Jefferson. They were Kennedy at one point, but Jefferson bought them out. So I've only been with one company my whole nursing career, and I'm a mom to two boys. Nicky is 19. He has autism. He's amazing. He's delicious. And I have a 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old little boy named Julian. They're my world, I am an artist. I actually went to Moore College of Art and Design in Center City, fresh out of high school. And I was a furniture designer for years. I'm just better at it as a hobby than like a career. Mm-hmm. So that's why I kind of transitioned out of that. And Nicky, actually, my oldest, he is an international artist now.
Oh, really? Well, I want to get into that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
great.
Interesting. I saw some of his work, and I got to tell you, it's amazing, and I know you guys team up on that. Let's get to that in a little bit after we get into the story here. Yeah. One of the photos I want to bring up right away so everyone understands, you are in the healthcare industry. You are an ER nurse, is that correct? And you are on the front lines during COVID from March until when? When were you actually...
March until almost the end of May, like May 19th, I think.
Okay. So you were there all through pretty much that March into May, and that was the crazy times. You'll see here a photo as we pull up of you, Tracy, in your scrubs, and it looks like dear nurses. This is the photo we'll hopefully have up here in a second. And again, we're talking with Tracy Sosa, who is in a pending court case with Jefferson Health. And this court case is about a wrongful termination. I see you in scrubs. I see a picture hanging on here. You have stuck here, and it says, can I have ice? Please.
For lab.
Yeah, for lab, please. And so it's a cute little artwork. Who did the artwork?
Me.
So that's your artist side. I see that.
Yeah, just to brighten it up a little instead of just leaving demand notes on my windows.
Why would you? Obviously opening and shutting doors, COVID, the situation unknown. Why would you want to prevent opening the door? This is probably a smarter way to communicate, right?
Well, that was the whole point of it. I mean, normally if it wasn't COVID, I would just go get my own things or whatever. But it was about keeping the doors shut, so not to let any germs out, and also to conserve PPE. Because at this time, this is like in the beginning when everything shut down, we were running out of PPE. We had one N95 mask per week. So like in the ER, so we would take surgical masks, put it over our N95. That way we were only throwing away surgical masks. But every time you leave a room, you've got to ungown all that, the gowns, the masks, everything's got to come off. And if you want to go back in, you got to gown up and use more PPE. So we were trying to conserve it as well as protecting people on the outside. So, I would just put notes on the window anyway. And I'm just an artist. I'm always scribbling or drawing. So I would just it was supposed to be me. That's supposed to be me in a gown, like the sketch. So I would
Right. No, I get it. It looks appropriate. And I get this, obviously this is a little levity in a tense time, right? You're in the middle of a situation where, the unknown's happening. You're out there in the front lines. We have another photo same photo. And then I think one of your former educators, my former student, perfect example of a nurse, smart, brave, witty, funny, caring, and creative. And it was sort of put on your social media page. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, shared that on Nurses Day. That was like the one thing she shared that day. It meant a lot to me because she's an incredible nurse.
Thinking out of the box in your industry, in nursing, healthcare, especially with the unknown, seems like something that would be welcomed by, the administration, especially at this hospital.
It was at first, it was celebrated. Like my supervisors were photographing it. They absolutely loved the little sketches. They thought it was smart, they thought it was great. They thought it was sweet. And I ended up doing another project, like another art project for the ER that was based on those sketches. And from what I understand that artwork is still up.
That's the artwork in the windows I see. Did you do all the characters?
Yep. Okay. I had said to one of my supervisors, I was thinking, because it was the whole healthcare hero theme, and we were working really hard, and I was kind of in charge of decorating those windows anyway because of like an art background. So my idea was, let me take down what I have up there now, and I could do like a healthcare heroes theme based on the little nurse sketches that I do. And what I ended up doing is just actually taking our ER physicians and some of the other staff members and like doing characters of them.
It looks good. I mean, it looks very professional. I'm pretty sure you have enough artists. You can probably go out and earn some good money. So, I mean, it looks like you can handle it. Staying with this concept, because now you're in the ER, you're working, you're doing things to keep things motivated and positive and upbeat. Mm-hmm. And the administration is loving it. They're saying, hey, nice, happy, everyone's good. At any time, did you get a written warning, or told you could not do this anymore?
No, not at all.
Not one time.
It was celebrated, and I was told, you really outdid yourself. This is fantastic. Thanks for putting smiles. Until just one day, it just all of a sudden was not okay. I mean, I had no idea. There was no like warning, or I just got pulled into an HR meeting and got my butt handed to me pretty much. Right, I was like, where's this coming from?
But before the HR meeting, there was a couple other things that were brought up in that meeting. Let's talk about that. So I have another photo here from Jefferson Health in New Jersey, and it's actually off their Facebook page, and it has a social distancing measures outside in the healthcare facility, and it's giving Kim has a hairdresser license, says Carol. And so we're talking about the photo here of some haircuts being done for patients at the hospital. I don't know if you can get that one up, Slay. So we'll work on that. Tracy, do you remember that happening when this was happening, when the haircuts and stuff were going on during COVID?
I don't know who that actually is. I've seen the photo myself. I don't know who she is, but I do remember seeing it on Jefferson's website that she was trying to do something nice, to make sure that the patients had haircuts, because this is when the world was shut down and nobody could get haircuts. And she wasn't a hairdresser for Jefferson. It's just another skill that she had, and wanted to, just help people feel good about themselves during the time. I don't know her personally or the whole story. I only know as much as you can read there too. All
right. So, the key part to this, and so for the listeners, again, we're talking with Tracy Sosa. She is she was employed as an ER nurse down at the Jefferson Healthcare Facility in New Jersey, employed there for about 10 years. We're hearing her story about her claim of wrongful termination. And, I want you guys at News Rack to listen to the story. If the story makes sense to you, share with us so we can understand, because I've read the story and I'm still confused. Tracy, the hair cutting issue is another part of the story. You were there,
Right.
you were working how many overtime hours were you probably working during this early part of COVID?
You know what? I tried to pick up as much as I could. It's a little bit tougher for me with the kids. But I mean, I would pick up a good 4 to 8 hours a week. That's not that 4 to 8, not 48,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't that much, but it was nonstop overtime. In the beginning, we were inundated with patients.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. I mean, we had, it was just so much. And then it eventually got to a point where people were starting to be scared to come to the ER.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had like no patients. We would start sometimes with 30 patients in the morning when I would come in, and there was a day where we sent 11 or 12 nurses home towards closer to like May because nobody was coming to the ER.
Right.
Like unless they really thought they had COVID, nobody was coming in. So we just kind of were sending people home. We went the opposite way. We got really, really slow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really, really busy in the beginning though.
So during this busy time, trying for your own personal health care and personal maintenance, getting to the barbershop or the beauty salon, not too easy to do, right? So you're working with your fellow staff and you decide not only are you talented at art and a mom and a nurse, but you also cut hair?
My mom taught me how to cut hair. I do not have a license at all.
Right, okay.
But she taught me when I was younger, and I've been cutting family member and friends' hair.
Yeah.
My kids have never had anybody cut their hair but me.
Right.
So it's just something I can do. I'm sure I'm not the best, but
hey, in the middle of COVID, you probably pulled it off, right?
yeah, I
Right.
mean, and you know what? It wasn't even my idea. One of my other, friends, another employee had said, Trace, do you think you can cut my hair? Like it's ratty. And I was like, yeah, I can probably do that. And then another one said, my wife wanted to cut my hair the other day and I almost murdered her for trying to do it. Can you cut my hair? And I was like, yeah, no worries. So it was like a Sunday, I think it was. I figured if it's slow, if it's how it's been, where we're just sending people home, I'll cut hair. And I mean, it's not, what it was? It's like it wasn't the first time. I mean, to do the dock bubble, to do those windows and paint, I had to hand off care of patients to do that.
So they allowed you to do that kind of, morale building sort of thing there. And then this next morale building, in your opinion, is, you're in there, you're all locked down, providing a couple haircuts to fellow staff is going to make them be more productive and work better,
my
right?
supervisor knew about it. It's not like we just did it and didn't tell anybody. Like, one of my supervisors knew about it prior to. And then, the day of, my charge nurse supervisor, she knew about it, another supervisor that day. Like, it wasn't something that was being done like on the DL. It was just, I couldn't, we were getting food deliveries every day from so many nice people that were just making sure we were fed, and so many nice things people were doing during the pandemic. Like, it really, humanity was just, it really was such a great thing to witness and experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in there. I can't bring you guys food because I'm here with you, but I can cut hair.
Right.
So I cut 6 people's hair. I didn't take any money for it or anything like that. It wasn't about that. It was just about like making people feel better.
Right.
And I actually feel like the guy's hair was worse because, if you guys have short hair and it grows an inch, it shows a lot worse. So it's just about making people feel good. And and I even said to like my supervisor, like, I just want to boost morale. I just want to help, if there's something I can do and something I can give, I can give my artwork, which I did. I can give haircuts. I can do a few things. So I'm happy to do it. I was always happy to do it. And it was okay.
No, that's you're filling in the blanks of the story. You're listening to News Rocky. Again, we have Tracy Sosa, former nurse at the Jefferson Health Facility in New Jersey. We're hearing the story and the claims of wrongful termination. And where's that tie into News Rocky, drilling down on fake news and news of the day? Well, personally, this is news because each and every day we hear about COVID, we hear about the stress and what's going on behind the lines, but we don't often hear about, the front line is always looking like they're smiling, but behind the scenes, there's always that corporate sort of push. I think there's a little bit of corporate sort of energy here that we're going to expose on the News Rocky show. What I want to get into now, Tracy, is that video of the dancing sleigh. If we can bring that video up. So what we're queuing up now is a video of another hospital of nurses, and I wanted to sort of cue it in here because we're just talking about you doing the hair dress, the haircuts.
Wait, is this the TikTok video?
Yeah.
Hey, right foot, now left foot. Hey, right foot, now left foot. Hey, right foot, now left foot. One hand, one hand, one hand. Two.
That's my hospital.
One hand, one hand. Two hands, two hands, two hands. Hit your rollie. Hit that rollie. Do your dance. Do your dance. Now lean with it, rock with it. Lean with it, rock with it.
So we got to see that. Now, thank you for the. I didn't realize we are going to have all that kind of beautiful music going too. Thank you, Tracy. So
it's not another hospital. That's my hospital, and those are other employees in the ER, in my ER.
So just so we understand, and the listeners of News Rocky, we're telling the story of wrongful termination. We just pulled up the photo of nurses and doctors or professionals in the industry actually on their hourly pay. They're dancing. And now we also have Tracy, who we're talking to Tracy Sosa about her story. You were terminated for 2 reasons, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Why don't you lay those reasons out, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that video that we just viewed. Go ahead.
So I forget the exact terminology for it, but it was for the haircuts, and their reason behind it was I was engaging in an activity that prevented me from providing nursing care, which, honestly, if we go eat lunch, we're not providing nursing care. We just always we hand off care. We say to another nurse, hey, I got to grab lunch, or I got to use the bathroom, whatever. Can you keep an eye on, room 6, 7, and 8 or whatever.
Yep.
And I only had one patient the day that I did the haircuts, and I did hand off care to another experienced ER nurse. So that was number one reason, was the haircuts. The other one was the little nurse sketches that I did on the notes.
They noted. Wait a minute. I want to verify. They actually put that in your termination notice that you were getting fired for the haircuts as well as the stick figures. Yes. Or whatever. I don't call them stick figures, but the art.
Yeah. I don't think that, they didn't use the exact words, but yeah, they just said that, I think the sketches they said, were not upholding would threaten to not uphold the Jefferson image.
So this is after many administrators, other faculty across the entire hospital facility had noticed these. They complimented. In fact, you were also given the task of going in and creating more artwork on the windows, right?
Yep.
And after all this, you never heard anything, no warnings, your supervisor didn't come to you, nobody come to you. Let me ask you this question. We'll tie it into News Rocky. Is this a political move for any reason? Are you a very active political person? Are you a person who, creates energy like this? Why is this happening?
I'm known for being chronically happy.
Okay.
Like, I'm never in a bad mood. I don't talk about politics. I truly have no idea. Almost like when it first happened, I almost felt like it was a setup. I was like, I don't understand. Like, why would you tell me to do all these things and then fire me for them? I don't understand. Like, why would you approve all this and even celebrate it and go above and beyond, and then I get fired for it. I'm so confused.
I think we're confused. The listeners of, the show News Rocky today, again with Tracy, I think anyone that hears a story is scratching their head. There's got to be more to the story, right? And there's got to be more. So,
I have my own kind of wonderings about what actually happened. There's a third reason why they said they were firing me for it.
Yep.
And I feel like you and I may have spoken about this. Well, not as it being a reason for firing, but I had posted at some point, probably in April, about people wearing masks, and just to do it.
Yep.
Like, it sucks. I get it. I understand. But like, it's really not for you. It's for the person next to you, and just wear them. And, just that it's whether it's a hoax or whether it's a man-made virus, or it doesn't really matter, because people are dying from it. And, at the same time, I could have my thoughts on a lot of that stuff. But the point is I am seeing people come in and be sick, and just wear the mask. That's all I had to say. So just wear the mask. And I had a picture up that someone had taken of me. Now, I have to preface this. When this COVID pandemic hit, one of my supervisors said, I want you guys to start taking pictures. I want you to start documenting the goings on in the ER. Her administrators wanted to see it. They wanted to have it documented so that we could show people what was really going on in an ER, how, the frenzy of it, the level of PPE we had to wear, how much we had to gown up, and just all of it. Like, she wanted it documented, and a lot of us started taking photos. Granted, we didn't walk up to patients and hold the phone in their face, but she wanted it. And I think I provided some photos of posters that she'd made from some of these photographs to put up on the wall and just kind of really just document. This is like none of us have ever gone through this before, and she wanted it documented. So another employee had taken a picture of me in a room with an ultrasound tech providing care to a patient with COVID. And I had posted that along with kind of my thoughts about wearing a mask. And I made sure that wasn't breaking HIPAA. You couldn't see the patient's face. You didn't have any tattoos or markings that could identify the patient, which is what you really need to worry about. You can't, even if you can't see their face, if they have like a tattoo that you could be like, oh, that's Bob, you can't have that up there. And I knew that. So I had posted that along with it. They didn't break HIPAA. Mind you, I eventually made a Nurses Week video, which I think you have, with that video in it, and sent it to my boss. It was another thing I did to try to like boost morale. I made like a Nurses Week video with music and about all of us, and used a lot of the photos we had been taking.
Did your boss open the email and look at it, review it, and comment either negative or positive?
Yeah, not only did she love it, she posted it to our Yammer page, which is like a kind of a Facebook page for employees and staff.
Okay.
She loved it so much she posted it there.
So she acknowledged receiving it, and now this same supervisor is involved with all the goings on, right? That's the main supervisor before you get to the next level. What was the relationship with the supervisor you're dealing with there? What was that like?
I loved her. I mean, she said she loved me. She actually was having T-shirts made up for all of us in the ER, and she was using my image on the T-shirt. Yeah, I mean, she loved me. I loved her. She was only there about a year, I think, when I was terminated, but I really liked her. I actually felt like, I don't know, I thought she was great. I really did. I know that not everybody did, but I really thought we had a great relationship, and that's another reason why when we finally had a meeting, I was like, we're going to sit down and have this meeting, and they're going to hear that, my supervisors knew about all this stuff, and everything was approved. They're going to find, like, HR and all the higher ups, they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, we didn't know that. That's fine. But that's not what happened.
So the story is intriguing. I mean, I'm confused. Information I'm getting from you, and obviously you are in an active court case now, so there's certain things you can comment and shouldn't comment on. We did, again, I just want for the record, the News Rocky show, we did reach out to the hospital. We did not get a comment back or a call back from Jefferson Health. We, obviously wanted to be respectful and fair. This is not our attempt to smear the hospital, but it's also to expose what the frontline folks like yourself, we're hearing stories across the country, Tracy, of I think the stress is breaking a lot of levels, not only the frontline level like yourself, but even those administration levels. It seems like people are having some of these things popping up throughout the country. But the common theme has been to support and show love for the people on the front line. I don't know in this story where it went wrong. You did your artwork. You cut some hair. You did a Facebook post, which was encouraged. You shared it with your boss. And now you're in a situation where you get called into the office. Let us go walk through that process.
So I was told that I was going to have a meeting with HR, with like the head of HR, or one of the heads, I guess, my direct supervisor, and another supervisor. And I was just like, this is, weird, but okay. So we sat down, we talked about the haircuts. It seemed like it was okay. Explained that a supervisor had approved it prior. And even after the haircuts, I had, spoken again to the same supervisor and let her know that, the haircuts went great. And she was like, yeah, everybody seemed happy or whatever. And then the next thing that got brought up was actually the sketches, the little nurse sketches that I did on the 2-second sketches that I did on the notes. And I hadn't even heard about this. I was like, and I remember like turning to my direct supervisor and be like, you took pictures of those. She told me you loved them. And she just didn't say anything. And I was like, this doesn't, like, what's going on, And then the supervisor that was speaking to me about the sketches said, you're in there and you're probably the only nurse in there with them because their families can't be there. And how do you think the sketches are making them feel? And I said, honestly, the ones that are not on ventilators and can comment, have been like, oh my gosh, how cute. I can't believe you did that in 2 seconds. Or is that supposed to be you? Or is it, is that one of your coworkers? Like, who are you drawing? It kind of helped, like, to me, I feel like it kind of like took their mind off of the fact that they're in an ER during a pandemic and they're scared and their family's not there. Their family's not allowed at the bedside, and I'm all they've got. So I'm trying to make them smile. That's not the only thing I would do with my patients, to try to make them smile. But I mean, it was one of them. And the supervisor that was kind of questioning how this might be affecting Jefferson's image had never even been in a room with patients that had COVID. So it was just assumptions. And, with all due respect to him, that's not his job to be in the room with the patients. It's mine. He's administration, not supposed to be in there. But I also felt like it kind of and I remember saying, like, with all due respect, everybody loved him. Staff loved him. My direct manager would stop by and take pictures of him. Everybody was taking pictures. All different disciplines were coming by. Everybody loved them. They thought they were great. I don't understand why all of a sudden this is a problem. And, he just was so concerned about how it might affect our image.
So talking about the image of a hospital, Jefferson Health in New Jersey, Tracy Sosa works there as a nurse. She goes through the situation during COVID, sometime around April, May. You start to get into the situation where you get called in. You're actually being terminated on the spot. Is that correct, that day, or no?
No, they suspended me, took my badge, my keys, and I was like, I've never even fired from a job, let alone suspended, anything like that. And I was just like, I can't believe this. And so that was, I want to say, the 9th of May, maybe, I'm so sorry, it was the 13th of May. And then they just sent me home with no pay. And on the 19th, they called and fired me over the phone.
It said terminated, and the reason for your final termination notice was?
They said I broke HIPAA, even though I didn't, which normally would actually just be a suspension. It wouldn't be a termination. They said that the sketches, the little nurses on the notes, were not upholding our image, and then that the haircuts was me engaging in an activity that took me from my patients.
Okay. So can I ask, in this time frame for which you were working, and this may be something you can't answer because it's part of the court case, did any patient have something happen under your care that was noted, that you were charged with some other, wrongdoing as far as your skill at being a nurse? Will you ever claim any claims about you not being able to serve your care, your caretaking for these patients? Were any claims made about you from any patients?
No, it was the opposite. A lot of praise.
So
we all did. Honestly, we all were getting tons of praise for just, going above and beyond for patients. We all were.
So again, this News Rocky taking on fake news, and this is, a lot of what we do is we do the Back to the Blue program here, where each week we actually.
I know, I watch that a lot. I love that.
Thank you so much. And we know, to me, law enforcement, nursing, fire, we're all, like, I wore a badge for 21 years in the prison, right? We're all on the same page, man. We're all on the same page, and we should all be supporting each other. And to me, this is an easy show to really get to your story and understand, because I see this as a really corporate, greedy, no real reason for your termination. And I'm not just, you're here, and I would welcome the opportunity to a representative from Jefferson Health to sit on this panel and have a discussion about the subject. But I have to ask you, what has been the outreach from people that you worked with? Are you getting support? Are people saying, or are they shutting the door to you?
Support. So much support. I got a lot of direct messages and texts from, some, even one of the supervisors of the hospital that reached out, which is like, I'm your biggest fan. I will stand right by you. I don't, this was awful. It shouldn't have happened. And I had posted on Facebook about this. I wasn't going to. I think after I let the shock wear off, I posted about what happened, and I had hundreds of comments from not just people that I know, but fellow employees, people I've worked with, and they were wonderful. Not one person was like, should have been canned. They're all like, this is ridiculous. I don't even understand it.
So Tracy, the HR director or whoever you dealt with, you said never served really with the COVID patients. Is that individual a healthcare provider, or was that person a business office part of the hospital?
That wasn't the HR person. That just was like another supervisor. he's more in the office. Like he's more of an administration guy.
But he was the final decision.
I don't think I don't think it ended with him. I think it was across the table. I don't really know. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know the chain of, I don't know who ends up finally saying, okay, she's terminated. I don't know if it's like a group decision. I don't know who has the final say in that. I know that after the meeting, I walked back to the office, back to my supervisor's office, and gave her my badge and stuff. And, I said to her, like, am I going to get like fired over this? I don't understand. Like, why didn't you stick up for me back there? Why didn't you tell them that you loved all of that? And she just is like, it's out of my hands. So I'm assuming she didn't make the final decision, but I don't really know how that, like the logistics of it work. I don't know.
So your direct supervisor who sort of condoned and accepted and even congratulated, so thank you. She actually at the end acted like she couldn't help you at that point.
She actually took time to tell me that she was extremely disappointed in me in front of the other people in the
after she praised you.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. So if I'm not your attorney, but if I was someone advising you, do you have an issue with this individual? Is this individual and you have any issues that you could tie together? Why it would be where she would feel one way one day other than corporate pushing her around to make her feel that way?
No, I think it's probably the latter. We got along really well. Like I said, she was going to put my face on a T-shirt for all of us. We were great. I don't know. I'm guessing it's from the higher ups. And again, that's completely me guessing. I have no idea why I'm guessing she felt some heat from them to do something, and just maybe didn't want to tell them that she approved it. To save herself. I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. It just doesn't, none of it makes sense. I mean, it's 8 months later and it still doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's an interesting topic. And I think when we talk about this situation again with Tracy Sosa here, talking about the Jefferson Healthcare facility she worked at and her wrongful termination lawsuit she has pending during the COVID time, we talked about heroes. We talked about, this unique situation across the country, across the world. Folks in your position were challenged with so much. It's amazing to me that there's got to be more to the story, Tracy. It just doesn't make sense why they would terminate you for such really insignificant issues.
I mean, definitely. I don't know if one theory that I kind of thought about and wondered about is that, they were trying to cut costs. And, with all the overtime, I am a 10-year nurse. I make a good wage, but also my oldest son, Nick, in 2016 had a lot of behavioral struggles and required a lot of hospitalizations totaling almost $1 million. And I have health insurance through them. So I don't know if maybe they were trying to cut people that cost a lot of money to have.
So wait a minute, Tracy, because I want to this is an interesting turn in the story. And I think this is where we need to really, and I'm sure your attorneys advise you how to proceed with this. There is a concept maybe, or at least a theory that possibly that Jefferson Hospital maybe looked at cutting cost. Your son, who is autistic and is 19 years old now, had about $1 million worth of medical treatment since you started at this employer?
Yes. Yeah. In 2016, he had like 3 admissions to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, stabilization, and then he went to a place called Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore for 6.5 months stay. It was an acute inpatient stay, and it's very expensive. Totally worth it because he's thriving now. But I mean, it was expensive, and I had my health insurance through them, and he did. So I don't know if that played a part in it.
Did they ever talk to you about it then and ask you, hey, what's going on here with your son, and your premium is whatever, or never? They never pushed back?
No.
Okay. But
at the time, though,
Yep.
We weren't Jefferson, we were Kennedy.
Interesting. So the new corporation, meaning Jefferson Healthcare, inherited you and this medical claim, right? From the Kennedy facility that was bought out, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I've heard that they're struggling financially now. I've heard that. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard from some of the other employees that like they've had to cut costs in certain ways, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, so I'm not going to say it. But So I don't know, maybe I had something to do with that. I mean, it's a lot less expensive to hire a new nurse out of school than it is a nurse with 10 years experience and the certifications that I have. You know, and then with a kid that, I mean, he hasn't needed that type of help since, but knock on wood, but it was expensive. I don't know if maybe that played into it. I mean, they're certainly not going to tell me that, but
Right.
again, it just seems like there's got to be another reason. It seems so crazy to no warning, no nothing, no suspension, just termination.
Well, I'm listening to the story and a little bit back and forth. And again, this is News Rocky. We have Tracy Sosa talking about the wrongful termination suit against Jefferson Healthcare. And this is a corporation hospital. This is not your, this is a for-profit hospital. Is that correct?
Correct.
So these hospitals, there's lots of nonprofits, in Connecticut where the show's coming from. This is down in New Jersey. This wrongful lawsuit is still pending. Where is it at in the court process, Tracy?
I don't even know how to categorize where it's at in the process. I mean, we're 8 months into it, but it's just ongoing. I mean,
has there been an offer? You don't have to comment specific. Did they try to settle with you at all?
I can't even comment on that.
Interesting. Okay. So do
my
you?
lawyer just says, because it's still ongoing.
Understood. I will respect that and appreciate your honesty here. I don't want to have in any way jeopardize your case, and we certainly, again, Jefferson Healthcare has the opportunity to, they want to come on and talk about the situation. They're more than welcome to do so. We welcome that. There is some interesting concepts here. I kind of get into the story. You got terminated by an individual who was. Did you have any attitude issues with this guy, or any problems with the guy who made the final decision from that administrative side?
No, I think he was also really new. I think that we had 2 conversations maybe prior to that, and they were quick ones, on the ER floor.
Okay. No issues with him. And then, the other thing I want to ask is, so your other employees, someone must have been complaining behind your back. They must have offered you, there was comments or something. Somebody had to make a complaint, right?
About the haircuts?
About any of it?
No, what ended up happening is my supervisor was investigating something else unrelated that had happened, not with me, but just something else unrelated, and was asking questions about that, and somehow the haircuts got brought up.
Okay, so that's what she
told me. I was, trying to find out some information about a certain, instance, and in doing so, I found out that you gave haircuts, and I was like, well, that wasn't something we were hiding.
Right. So interesting, and I mean, I think it makes, it's a very interesting story. I mean, it's something that doesn't make sense, especially during this time in our country's history where we're so divided in so many areas, and we know healthcare. You're over. You're not working, right? You're out of work.
Right. I can't. I mean, I tried to. I got another job offer, and I tried to orient, but it's impossible to orient for a new company while I'm homeschooling 2 boys.
Right.
It's completely impossible because there's just no way to do it. If I didn't have to orient with an entirely new company, I could, if I would just went from like the ER to a different floor in my hospital, it would be nothing. But to orient for a new hospital, I can't do it.
I understand. And so, but you're still in the situation. You're out of work 8 months. You're sitting here. I don't know how you're doing it. Let's get into a little bit about your son's art and how that all happened, and talk a little bit about that because I think that's a little bit of the inspiration of the story. Share a little bit about that, Tracy.
So like I mentioned in 2016, when Nikki went away to Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore, his dad and I were just kind of like at our wits' end. We didn't know what else to do for him. He was going to end up institutions became a reality. He wasn't even safe for a group home. He was so aggressive and self-injurious. So he went to this, super long story short, he spent 6.5 months at Kennedy Krieger, and they just saved his life and mine because I would die without him. And he came home early 2017, and that summer, he started to draw again when he came home. He's always drawn. He's always been a little artist, but when he started struggling, he just had no interest in drawing. But when he came home, the first thing he wanted to do was draw again. And he drew, this drawing that I have on my arm for me. And then I just kind of like had an idea, like, how could we give back to the hospital using Nikki's drawing? So he started to take just Sharpie markers, permanent markers, and draw on canvas. And I was like, you know what, let's do a project. So in July of 2017, I said, hey, you know what, we're going to do a drawing project this summer. If anybody wants Nikki to draw you anything on canvas, message me. I'll have them draw, and everything that we make from it, we're going to give to Kenny Krieger. And I was hoping to like raise $500 for this summer. It was more like to teach my little guy too, like, this is how you give back, and, you know, for Nick and blah, blah. So we did. And then the first 24 hours, I had 100 orders.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, wait, I don't know if we can get all these done. So we ended up raising $3,000 in 3 weeks.
Nice.
So we donated it. And then everybody still wanted Nikki to draw. So Nick Art was born. It's like his own little company. And he has he draws anything, but then people started having him draw their pets, and they went bananas. So he actually has artwork, a little over 700 canvases all over the US, Australia, and New Zealand.
Wow.
So yeah.
Pretty amazing. So you're managing that with Nikki. You help him with the process.
Yeah. But when the pandemic hit and his routine was screwed up from being home,
yep,
I couldn't really work in the drawing in his schedule where he felt good about it. So he's not been drawing. He still has like 60 things to get done. But so being home, this is totally weird, but I wanted this pillow that's in the shape of a star that I saw online. And it's like a wonky pillow. Like, it's not like a perfect star. And I was like, it reminds me of the way Nikki draws stars.
Mm-hmm.
And the only place I could find it was the UK. And I was like, it was like $1 million trillion from the UK. I'm like, I'm not spending that on a pillow. It's like, I wonder if I could make it. Like, I didn't know how to sew, but it's just, I figured it can't be that hard. So I bought like this little toy sewing machine for like $20 from Amazon. And I ended up making this really cute star pillow. And I posted it on Facebook, and everyone was like, please tell me you're selling these. And I was like, well, I wasn't planning on it. But then I got all these people that wanted some pillows. So I like bought like a $70 sewing machine, like one a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And before I knew it, we just had all these orders, and I would just take the drawings Nikki had already done, and I turned them into pillows.
Oh, wow.
Like actual, yeah. I like once because he wasn't drawing new. So I started like taking old drawings that he'd done during his drawing project,
sure,
like fun ones, and I would turn them into pillows. And then recently, I said I wasn't going to do pet pillows because he does the pet drawings. I was like, I don't think I would be able to pick up the detail that Nikki puts down. But I tried it for a friend that asked me to do 3 pillows for her for this past Christmas, and they turned out really well. So I was like, all right, I'll do pet pillows. So now we have like a 50-person wait list for pillows, which is great.
So you built this little industry of this art project turned into something even bigger. Yeah. I mean, if we could, can you show some of the pillows? We'll pull some of those up. And again, I just want to, the folks listening to News Rock, you're talking to Tracy Sosa, ER nurse down at the Jefferson Health Facility in New Jersey. We have a wrongful termination lawsuit that she's working through. We went through the issues there, but I do want to give some time to her son, who is autistic, but also so talented. There's some of the pictures there. Now, you sewed these yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how. I just started sewing.
Very cool. No, this is cool
for
stuff.
like 3 months, but
what would that cost me? That pillow right there. What is that going to run me?
Which one is it?
Pull that one back up again, Slay. I think it looked like almost like a dog or a cat. Yeah, a cat. It's a cat.
It depends. You know what? I tell people to send me a picture of their pet, and it depends how long it'll take me.
Okay.
Like certain ones are like just one color. It's not as hard to do. Some of them have the fur, which I have to order fur fabric, and it's more expensive.
Yeah.
But they're fun though. They're really fun to do.
Yeah, there's another one that looks like, is that a penguin maybe?
Penguin. Oh, yeah. The penguin's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That's right.
Nikki's drawings though are so funny. Like that penguin is hilarious. Like, just think it's so funny.
Yeah, it is. It's very detailed. It's very artistic. So any others that we can pull up? Let's see if we get a few more Nick's artwork here. Now, where can people buy these if they want to buy Nick's artwork?
We have an Instagram page and an Etsy page, and they're both Nick Art Home. So it's NICKARTHOME, all one word.
Very cool. Here's some more right there. It looks like a ballerina.
Oh my God, that one's so funny. Like they're so anatomically incorrect.
Yeah.
It makes me giggle.
It's
like what's up with her head? It's like hanging off.
Yeah, it looks like a cabbage on top of a hot dog. I don't know. It's
so
weird.
Funny. And the little girl that the mom bought for her little girl for her first birthday, and she says she just walks around with it everywhere. She loves it.
That's so cute. So cute. All right, so here's what we're going to do, because we're winding down a little bit, and I want to kind of anything else on Nick's story that you want to share? I mean, obviously it's an inspirational story. suffering with the conditions of that sort of problematic upbringing up to 16, but you said he got into this program and now he's doing amazing and he's got his artwork. You're doing amazing as a mom, and then you get slapped in the face with this situation, right? And
it was awful.
How does it make you feel? I mean, what are you feeling inside right now about what's going on?
I'm still devastated. Like, I wanted to retire there. That's where I didn't want to go to the city. I didn't want to change. That's where I wanted to retire, and I loved it. I miss so much taking care of my patients. I just miss ER nursing specifically. I've only been an ER nurse for 2 years. I did other nursing up till then, but as soon as I went in there, I was like, this is my calling. Like, I just loved it. And I miss everybody I work with. And it just felt like such a slap in the face. I don't understand why, and the one supervisor that I have who questioned my image, like, he used to be a stripper, which I didn't even know until like somebody left it on my doorstep, a picture of him like stripping.
So the guy, wait, Tracy, so I can understand. So the guy you're saying, one of the folks that was involved in your termination, he's a stripper. He was a stripper.
Which, listen, I don't have any problems with strippers, but
interesting.
You have to uphold a certain professional and personal image
right.
when you work at a hospital.
Right.
And like, this guy is like questioning how I'm affecting our image by doing little nurse sketches that make people smile.
Right.
Yet you're up on a stage and you're, not, a lot of people might question that. Like, his, I don't know, just,
I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking of some movie, something Mike. What was that called?
Magic Mike.
Oh, Magic Mike's coming to mind right now. I don't know why, but I see him in a nurse's outfit, rocking it, the microphone or whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, so we digress, Tracy. Sorry, but the interesting part though is you kind of laid out the story in a way that was really easy for me to understand. I hope the viewers can understand. Why is Tracy on the show today? I want to tell you, the News Rocky fans, because we're all about fighting against that fake news and the dirty part of corporate. We want to take on corporations and the big businesses that are really kind of, taking advantage of the little people. And I honestly hear, if I'm giving my objective, I think this is about insurance. I think this is about cutting costs. And I think it's about a corporation not caring about people, caring more about the bottom line. Tracy, in closing, I just want to give you an opportunity. Just give people direction where they can find your story, help you out, and then also talk again about where they can find Nick's artwork.
The artwork is I have an Etsy page for it, and it's also an Instagram page, which is Nick Art Home, and it's NICKARTHOME. And my Facebook page is public, so it's just Tracy Sosa. I mean, I don't have anything on private.
Okay, and as far as this story, when are you supposed to be back in court? How can I want to make sure that the listeners can pay attention? So make sure you share with our Facebook page, the updates and what's going on. People are going to be concerned. I'm sure people want to help you and support you. Tracy, we'll get back in touch with you probably, say, a few months, get an update from you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with COVID, we're not actually in court.
Right, you're remote courting or if you can get in there, right? So it's...
Yeah, I don't even know when... I don't know exactly. It's kind of like in this back and forth process right now, so I'm not really sure when it'll go to court, but I'll definitely keep you guys updated.
Please do. And I want you to do that. And also I want to ask, maybe we can get Nick to do the News Rocky for us, the pillow.
Oh God, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll have Paula send you a link to the pictures, and
sure.
That'd be awesome if we could have Nick to do that. We put it right in the studio here. Okay.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Very good. And so again, I want to thank you, Tracy. We'll be in touch soon. Thank you again for tuning in with us today on News Rocky. Tracy Sosa's story in your corner, Sosa versus Jefferson. This is a story about corporate greed, about an opportunity for a hospital to look at the person who's actually servicing the clients, the customers, more importantly, the patients. During COVID, who knew what to do? Who had a game plan? Who had rules? How were the rules set? It sounds like this hospital was making rules along the way, and they took advantage of an opportunity, possibly, again, to cut costs. I hope that's not the case, but they got to prove their case in court. This is what we're talking about on News Rocky today. Each and every day, we want to drill down on news, fake news, and try to represent those people who are being bullied around by the corporate greed out there across this country. Tracy, thank you again. God bless you and your family, and I want you to hang in there, okay?
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Guys, we'll tune in tomorrow with News Rocky. We'll be coming back to you again with some really good shows. Each and every day we change a little bit of the topic. Just a week ago, guys, you'll remember on News Rocky in this very studio, we were covering the live events down in Washington, D.C. We are working on some recap shows from that event that took place. Guys, today the impeachment hearings are taking place. They're in the middle of this battle. The entire country is up in arms. We have an inauguration coming up soon with Joe Biden. We have Donald Trump basically still snubbing his nose at the process. There is so much going on across the country, and I want you to tune into the rest of the shows because you'll get caught up on the rest of the news. News Rocky coming to you live Monday through Friday, part of the Helms Media Group at the Pie Hop Studio, 80 Broadway in downtown Norwich. We'll see you in the ring tomorrow.